Welcome to the Marriage and Motherhood Podcast. I'm your host, Michelle Perda. I'm a life and marriage coach for moms, wife, mom of 3, and I'm also an Aries, and for my fellow human design nerds, a sacral manifesting generator. This podcast is for women who want to be happier in their marriage as they navigate their journey through motherhood, even if you're like me and you weren't shown how while growing up. Inside, we're going to be talking about breaking generational cycles when it comes to how to handle conflict in healthy ways, redefining motherhood your way, and prioritizing your well-being, because here, we believe that women don't have to sacrifice their happiness to be a great mom. And a quick note to mamas listening with kids around, you may want to pop your earbuds in because nothing is left unsaid on this show, which means there may be times where something I say isn't meant for little ears. Are you ready? Let's dive in.
Hello. Welcome back to another episode of the Marriage and Motherhood Podcast. Today we're going to be talking about emotions. I don't know about you, but I've definitely been called too emotional. Now, had you asked me this in the past, I actually would not agree with that statement. I was largely unaware of my emotions. But like I said, had you asked me that in the past, I would have been like, I'm so self-aware. I'm a psychology degree major, whatever, right? Like, no, I wasn't. I was not aware. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about what it means to be too emotional. And we're gonna peel back the layers of what all of that means, what the impact is on your relationship, and just dive right in. So, the topic that we're covering today is emotions, and that's a really, really big topic, right? But our emotions can really, really impact our marriage, how we connect with our husband, how we communicate with them, how we feel seen and heard. It basically permeates every aspect of your relationship. Now, if you are feeling like being too emotional is causing a lot of issues in your marriage, then please continue to listen to this, all right? Now, I want you to think back to your childhood, right? All the way back. Have you been called too sensitive? Have you been said that you overreact, or that you're too much, or my personal favorite, that you're crazy? If you have, me too, right? None of that is anything that you want to hear because it implies that there's something wrong with you, okay? And just to cut to the chase, there's nothing wrong with you. There is absolutely nothing wrong with you. This is just how you are, and it's okay. Now, for me, after hearing all of that so many times, I started to wonder if it was true. And maybe you experience the same thing. Like, maybe I am too sensitive. Maybe I need to toughen up. Maybe I need to stop taking things so personally. Maybe I need to dim it down and stop feeling so intensely and, just be more just neutral, right? Like basically forcing myself to not be myself. Okay. Like I said, never thought of myself as an emotional person. I always thought that I got emotional, but because someone else brought it out in me. And in every single romantic relationship I was in, I was completely different than who I was with everybody else. With other people, I felt like I was fairly even-keeled in those relationships, like friendships, family, whatever. But in romantic relationships, I could get pretty damn mad and annoyed. Okay. Now, I don't know about you, but I am a crier. I'm definitely a crier. I cry when I'm sad. I cry when I'm angry. I cry when I'm happy. I cry when I'm proud, right? Like, I'm that mom who, watches their kid get an award, and I'm just, tearing up because I'm just so happy for them. for them to experience it. And so I feel pretty deeply. And so having realized that I feel pretty deeply, it's like, wow, I shut out a big part of who I am, how I experience life when I was younger, all because I had these labels slapped on me. And I somehow thought that their opinions meant more about me than my own opinion about me. Okay, so maybe you can relate to this. And maybe I'm emotional because, like, I have a fiery nature, right? Like, I'm an Aries. For those who love astrology like me, I also have water signs, right? Like, I am a Pisces moon and a Scorpio rising, and water signs have a lot of depth. They feel really intensely, okay? And they're very introspective. But I didn't allow that to happen for so many years because I thought that it was something that I shouldn't be doing. I shouldn't show up that way. I basically shamed myself for feeling so much. And I wanted to be like other people, to not have these intense emotions, to be one of those like chill people in relationships that I've seen, right? So I buried my feelings a lot, and I didn't even realize I was doing it. It wasn't even like a conscious decision. I was just like, okay, Michelle, this is not working out for you. Like, that's not what happened. It just shut off. I ignored them, and I was largely unaware of what I was doing. And this is how I know why. Okay? I know that I was doing that now because looking back, it would seem like I would be fine, and then out of nowhere, I wouldn't be really not fine. So from 0 to 60, I would then lash out, okay? And I had no awareness of the buildup or what led to it, right? It was almost like it just out of nowhere popped up. I truly did not understand myself at all. And so because of this, right, this lashing out looked like yelling, being passive aggressive, nagging, criticizing, blaming, slamming cabinet doors, right, doing things so loud to just bring attention to my unhappiness. Now, if you can relate to this, I would not be surprised because society, the way they view emotions, or we are part of society, we view it as an inconvenience and a weakness even. And society prioritizes thinking over feeling, right? But I've got to say, I'm loving how much there is coming out, how much more attention there is around building emotional intelligence and the importance of it in our lives now, right? It's important with how we parent. It's important with our marriage, with our family, with leadership, right? Like if you are a manager, if you're a business owner, whatever, right? Like any like volunteer work, emotional intelligence helps all of those things. And learning about emotions and how it impacts how we show up in our relationship. Now, when I look back, I'm like, oh, no wonder I am so passionate about this, because it's literally been my life's journey, my life's work to figure this out for myself, because I was so unaware of what it meant to be emotionally intelligent, right? Like I said, I was a psych degree, so I thought like, oh, of course, I'm a self-aware person, right? But lacking that emotional intelligence within myself created a lot of issues in my life that I didn't tie back to me being emotionally unaware of myself, okay? And so through all these challenges that I've gone through, I now get to be in this place where I went from stuffing my emotions down and then having the pressure build up and exploding to fully being able to sit with my feelings, to embrace them instead of like feel like get away from me, right? I don't have time to feel this. This is not a good time right now. I don't want to feel this. Let's just think positive, right? Or let's distract ourselves. Now I actually allow it and I sit with it and I process it. And now I get to teach others to do the same. And in doing that, we're able to create more fulfilling relationships. All right. Now, what I've come to learn is that while I may be sensitive, and if you're resonating with like the too emotional phrase, you might be too, but we're not too much, nor are we crazy. Okay. I want you to really like let that sink in and let all of those voices in your head that you have internalized saying that you're otherwise. Okay. You are not too much. You're more than enough. You are not crazy. You have big feelings. Okay? And we are not too emotional. We feel emotions. Maybe they're different from other people, but that doesn't make us too emotional. Okay? So there's nothing wrong with us. It's just the awareness that we need to build to be able to see our emotions as a source of wisdom and have the courage to actually feel them instead of push them away so that we can use them to enhance our lives rather than just be this thing that we feel is such a nuisance to our own personal lives, to our romantic lives, to everything. Okay? Now, let's go backwards a little bit and let's talk about what emotions even are, okay? Because it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, we know what emotions are, but I don't know how to describe it. Like, I feel it, but I don't actually know what it is. Emotions are mental reactions that we experience as a result of a situation that we also experience through sensations in our body. That was a mouthful. That's what she said. Anyway. I can be childish sometimes. So, I want you to picture the last time you were upset. How did you know you were mad? Like, really sit and think about that. How did you know you were mad? Right? You're probably like, because I felt mad. I just know, right? Well, you knew you were mad because it's a combination of physical sensations that you have come to learn that it means that you are mad, okay? For example, you probably feel more tension in your body. Maybe your shoulders are tight, your jaw's tight, your fists are clenched. Maybe your body feels a lot hotter. Your blood is really pumping through your veins. Maybe your heart's even racing, right? Like it's just, you feel bad, right? Like, have you seen, what's that Inside Out? Like the anger guy, right? Like, kind of like that. He's probably red for a reason, right? It's like really hot. He's like a volcano. All this steam coming up. Okay? And when you break down the word emotions, it's actually energy in motion, which is why there's a physical component connected to it, right? We feel our emotions in our body. So when you're happy, you're like, you've got like buzzing feeling all around, right? You probably feel really light and you just like have a lot of like energy inside of you. You feel like you're buzzing, okay? Whereas sadness is like a heavy feeling. You're kind of just like blah, right? Like low energy. You are not motivated to do much at all. You're just heavy. It's the only word I can come up with right now. Now, emotions have a purpose, okay? It has a purpose. We don't just have them just for shits and giggles, okay? Now, I used to think emotions were really, really annoying and inconvenient outside of what we call the good feelings, right? The joy, the happiness, whatever. And I viewed the bad ones as, well, bad, right? Something to be ashamed of, to hide, to control. But what I've come to learn is that our emotions actually have this like bigger purpose, and there's a reason why we experience them. Now, each emotion we experience helps us learn a little bit more about ourselves so that we can be in a relationship with other people. Okay, I'm going to repeat that because it's really, really important. Each emotion we experience helps us learn more about ourselves so that we can be in a relationship with other people. Okay, it's like our guidance system, our GPS. Emotions tell us what we like, what we don't like, what we want to do more of, what we absolutely do not want to do again. It's a huge source of information for us to draw from. But here's the kicker. You can only draw information from them if you actually listen to them and allow yourself to feel them. And we can make really, really bad decisions for ourselves based on how we feel, right? Especially when we don't listen to them. But we can also make really good decisions based on how we listen to them, right? It's the body's way of communicating to us, kind of like the game, like the game, like red light, green light. That's what's coming to mind for me. If we're upset, that's clearly a red light. Like, nope, don't want that. Let's stop that. Put a halt to it. Doesn't feel good. Okay? Something about this situation needs to change stat. Because we want to get back to feeling that like sense of ease and comfort and contentment, right? Like that's our equilibrium. That's where we want to go back to. If it's a green light, it's like, ooh, we're good to go. More of that, please, right? Can I get a second order of that? But the issue that has come up around your marriage with your emotions is not that you are feeling them. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that at all. That is not something you can avoid. You might be able to push it down, but it's going to come back. Okay? So it's not the emotions themselves that cause the issues in the relationship. It's the lack of awareness and compassion towards the emotions that causes problems. When you are unaware of how you actually feel, right? Aside from, I feel good, I feel bad. It can look like one moment feeling fine and the next you're in a fit of rage, saying things that you're going to regret, steamrolling your husband, which means that you're talking over him, being defensive about everything, fighting everything that he's saying, or that you're finding fault in every single thing that your husband is saying. And your anger colors your perspective and creates this like tunnel vision for you so that your open mind has become completely closed off. You are not available for what he has to say at all. You are just checked out. All you're doing is like expelling all this excess energy from feeling so upset. Right? You're not interested in working together as a team. You're only interested in getting rid of this anger, and you're going to unleash it onto anyone who gets in your way. Okay? You're like, remember, emotions are energy in motion. And so when you are uncomfortable with the emotions, you're going to want to push it away, right? Which is the complete opposite of what I'm asking you to do, for you to be able to empower yourself to use emotions to actually improve your marriage. Okay? But when we feel it intensely, right? Like I said earlier, what I ended up doing, right? It's almost like this this urgency to get rid of it. And more often than not, your easiest target is who it's going to land on, and that's almost always your husband or your kids, right? Like, you wouldn't even think about doing that to your best friend, right? But husband and kids, it's much easier for you to do that because you're just like, you're there. You know I love you. Boom. Okay? Not that you mean to cause harm, that you mean to let all of that spill onto them. It's just what happens. Okay? So, if this is you, you are not alone. This is definitely something that I've had to work through, and on my worst days, I still do, right? But, like I said, it's not the emotions that are the issue, because when there's an awareness built up around your emotions, you can use it to feel empowered. You can use it to get to know your inner world a hell of a lot better and co-create a relationship that's fulfilling for both you and your husband, okay? Because, like, can you actually imagine a marriage with, like, no emotions? I actually cannot imagine that. That's really strange. It's almost like, I don't even know. That just seems really boring. But if you're experiencing, quote, too much emotion right now and you don't know how to handle or navigate these emotions, that might sound refreshing to you, right? Where it's like everything is just a flat line. But emotions are meant to be felt. It's normal to feel ups and downs in our lives. And the point of this is to not continue to think of them as this horrible thing in your life that's wreaking havoc. It's about noticing, oh, how do I get when I feel that way? What can I do about that? How can I embrace my emotions to take my marriage further? Okay? So it's really about empowering yourself with understanding yourself on an even deeper level, okay? Because once you understand more about yourself and what your emotions are actually trying to communicate with you, that's when you can co-create a relationship that's really fulfilling. Now, if you've ever wished that you were more seen or heard by your husband, it's likely because you haven't allowed yourself to see and hear yourself, okay? It might not even be a conscious decision. It might be like, well, it's not safe for me to feel emotions because in my childhood, I was told to stop crying. I was told to stop being so dramatic. I was told to, just smile. And my feelings were dismissed a lot. Of course, it makes sense for you to not feel like that's a safe place for you to go, right? To sit with your emotions. And I'm telling you that no one should have said that to you. Look, like, our parents did their best. I'm not knocking what they did. However, that is not what you needed to hear, because that shut off a really big part of you. That is the obstacle, the challenge that's in your way right now to feeling the full potential of content and fulfillment and satisfaction in your relationship today. So the very thing that you were taught to push away is actually the answer to what you've been looking for. Okay? So if you are still bearing your emotions, this is your invitation, or if you like truth or dare, this is your dare, to start allowing yourself to actually feel and process your emotions. Because on the other side of doing that could be a really beautiful marriage that you never thought would be possible. Okay? a marriage where you two feel secure, supported, and loved around each other, and your marriage feeling like it's a source of joy and fun and growth and safety, right? When you start treating your emotions like your BFF instead of like your arch nemesis, that's when everything else can happen so much more easily, right? Like easier conversations. You can talk about like your dreams and your deepest fears with each other, like you're writing in your diary, but having someone else respond to you with support and compassion and understanding and empathy. Being able to handle arguments, like you two are just deciding what to eat for dinner, but with a little pinch of spice added, right? Feeling so seen by each other because you feel emotionally connected. Having sex that feels closer than just the physical act of it. And being able to just look at each other, right? Like just across the room, like have your eyes meet and feel like you're exactly where you want to be because you feel right at home with each other. Can you imagine that? Right? It's likely what you were hoping for when you agreed to marry him, right? Like think back on what you were really seeing for your future as a married couple. Imagine having that. Now, I'm on a mission to help you and everyone else who has been turning away from their emotions, from their emotional side, to have the courage to actually see your emotions as a way to create this life that you pictured for yourself. Your emotions are here to add to your life, and it's time to start listening to them. Because the more you avoid them, the louder they're going to feel like they need to scream to get your attention. Think back to that example of me going from 0 to 60. I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine. And then I'm not fine at all. And I'm just lashing out. Now, I want you to be able to do this work for yourself so that you don't fear or feel ashamed of your emotions, okay? Because I had it backwards for so long. I thought that my quote-unquote bad emotions were to be controlled, to be tempered, but they're not. They're to be listened to, because by not listening to them, I had really like even more intense feelings that led me to do things that I was not proud of, like really immature things. Okay? Now, if you're on this journey of like, I don't know what to do with my emotions, I have so much of it, and I know that it's impacting my marriage negatively because I don't know what to do with them. They hit me like a ton of bricks. I end up behaving in ways I'm not proud of, but I don't know how else to navigate them, right? Whether you're avoiding conversations or you are with a passion pursuing your husband to talk about things before they're ready, doing things that are basically pushing them away to test them because you've got so much anger built up inside, then I want you to actually reach out and talk to me about this, okay? Send me a message. Let's talk about it. Your emotions don't have to ruin your marriage. Your emotions can do the opposite. It can enhance it. It can make it so, so much better. Take it from me. Take it from my clients, okay? Once you have a handle on your emotions, not controlling it, but actually building a relationship with it, you'd be surprised by how much can change just by doing that. Okay? Because that's really the foundation. foundation of your communication, foundation of your connection, foundation of your happiness, your self-love, everything. Okay. So, in a nutshell, your emotions are here to be your guiding system. They're not your worst enemy. They don't have it out for you. They're here to help you create the life, the marriage that you want. All right? I hope this was helpful for you. Let me know if you have any questions and reach out if you need support. All right? I hope you all have an amazing day, and I will talk to you later. Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to the Marriage and Motherhood Podcast. I hope that this episode helped you deepen your relationship with your husband and, more importantly, with yourself. If you know someone that this episode would help, please share it. All right, see you back here next week. Bye.